Hey, my name is Chris, and today for my craft here that I'm working on, I've got a thing called The Visible Man by Skilcraft. It's a pretty cool resource for biology, specifically towards medicine or anatomy classrooms. So, as you can see, it's got all these different pieces here in the bags, as well as there's this plastic body case that fits together with a removable breastplate, so you can even see like, oh, here's the internal organs, or here's the whole body, and you can get in and look at all the pieces once you've assembled it. But it's essentially a pretty big puzzle. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get the scissors out and start opening this up. That's my dog that you hear growling down there playing. He refuses to be far from me at all. Okay, so as you can see, this thing, so you can't see this, but I know, and I can tell you this right now, this box with all the pieces inside costs $29.99. You can find it online. Pretty accessible, but it has a couple quirks that I would say make it not the most convenient thing for a class. So it's got, it says uses cement to put together, cement not included. Didn't see that on the box when I got it. Also, it's got all these nice colored organs and stuff here, and you have to know there's no paint included. You're gonna have to do that yourself. So it's not ideal, but there's a lot to be learned from the body nonetheless, and this brings up the possibility of future projects if you got some painters in the class. But instead of cement, I've got some nice old Gorilla Glue here, and we're gonna hope that works. And if it doesn't, this will be a learning experience for all of us, nonetheless. So let's get started. Looks like it starts with the skull assembly, step one. So we're just gonna get all these nice bones and set them in a pile. Not a sentence you say every day. Okay, this is probably, oh, that's not the part of the skull it wants us to start with yet, so we don't touch this either. Aha! Here's the skull pieces. So you need a pair of scissors for this work. You could just bend and break the plastic. That works in some cases, but just gotta be careful. Okay, where's the jaw? So you can see there are a lot of pieces, but that's part of the charm of this kit, is it really helps show all the kids that you're doing this with exactly how complicated the human body is by making them assemble one. I don't know if it would be viable to have an entire classroom each build their own, but a few sets of this, or even just one set that the whole class can look at, might be something that they could gain a lot of information from. So, we've got these two pieces. Look at this, the beginning of a skull. We need the skull base. This is. Yes, this would be our skull base. So it all comes together just like so. Maybe not just like so, but it comes together. Looks like this is our first piece to glue. So this would be a good resource for any classroom that plans on talking about the human body at all, biology, evolution, because there's just so much you can do here with things like convergent anatomy, comparing, this specific human bone with that particular, bat finger claw piece. So there's just a lot that can be gained from comparing different structures in this, and it's really good to just show people, what's inside in a not so frightening manner. People like puzzles. They don't like, however, seeing the human body broken up. So this is a good happy ground. There's no actual blood here. It's all just little plastic pieces. Okay, that is not sticking easily, but hopefully it does. Put a little more glue there. I probably shouldn't be mumbling as much as I am. I imagine that makes it hard to pick up on the camera, but I am a flawed human being. I will try to avoid so in the future. So we're gonna let this sit here and hopefully dry. Now we have to find the eyeballs. Oh, that was easy. Boom, the first ones I looked at. See some lovely, and by lovely I mean only slightly terrifying, human eyeball pieces. They've got all the muscles around there. And what's really nice is this doesn't just come with the assembly guide. It also has this introduction to anatomy pamphlet book that comes through here with just all sorts of details here. Like it talks about the 3 different types of muscle tissue in the muscular system, with the striated muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscle. It talks about how there are 206 bones in the skeletal system, not a number that you want to be any lower than that is, because that means you're missing bones, and just like a puzzle, that's not a great thing. So there's a lot of information in here. It talks about the respiratory system, the excretory system, just all of these different parts of the human body. So it's got a lot of information to teach, as well as content to do simultaneously. So they're really learning about the body as they construct it, trying to find a piece and be like, oh, what's this piece? And go check your introduction to anatomy, and that piece is all about they have to get an in-depth look at the cardiac muscle before they construct that. Sorry, my dog is so cute, but so needy. It's hard to pay attention to her as I glue an eyeball into a skull. Maybe better if I put the in the skull and then put the eyeball in there. Okay. I am definitely getting glue all over my fingers today. That is a fact I have accepted. No, I don't want eyeball out of the sockets. Okay. I mean, this guy needs a name at this point, now that he's got a skull with eyeballs and everything right here. So we're gonna go ahead and start calling him Fred. Okay, Fred needs a spinal column and a clavicle, guys. That would be the collarbone. So we've got lovely spinal column right here. And we need, I believe this would be the clavicle. I'm not as familiar with clavicle shape as spine shape. Spine's a little easier. I'm pretty sure this is our clavicle. So clavicle goes like so. This is how your shoulders rest on your spine. Isn't that lovely to know? Because now you do. Now we need the rear, our rib cage. Thankfully, the ribs are all attached to this cage already. Oh, Charlie, come here. Okay, come up here. Come here. looks like the dog's joining us. She's lonely. She feels left out. Okay, just don't touch the super glue, please. So now, let's see. This goes right here. So I'm not gonna make you guys watch me build this entire thing, but I am gonna assemble a good deal of it in front of you, or at least what I can, because unlike my parents, I've never been the greatest puzzle user here. This looks like something that we need more glue for. So we got to glue these two halves of the spine together. That's gonna be a lot of glue. No wonder it wants cement. They must have some sort of sticky putty they have in mind for this. But I will make do with glue. So as for viability in classroom, as you can see, there's a ton of assembly involved here. This isn't something your students are going to get done in one day. In fact, you might spend a few days painting the organs, spend some time on every organ, every structure of the body. This is really the beginnings of an entire anatomy class, like a course on anatomy, the culmination of which you add different body parts as you learn about them, one piece at a time to your structure. And near the very end, boom, you've got a whole human structure, whole body that you actually understand, would be the way that I would want to teach with this particular kit. But as for how much, you know, these are $30 for every single kit here. So it's not something that you could get for each and every single student unless you had a good grant or a very friendly and generous donor. So instead, this would be something that perhaps you just get one for the whole class, and you have each different group work on a different piece. So you can have some people work on some of the organs, paint the lungs, tell us all about them, and then work on assembling that. Some people work on just the bones, and you can have them come together in a big collaborative group effort and put it all together into one big human body when you're done. So this is a big project for a lot of students, and it comes out, you know, being about yay tall once you're done. And then they can all teach each other the things they've learned over the course of different presentations that you do. And once you're all done, the classroom gets to be proud of the structure that they've put together. Overall, that is my assessment of this teacher learning or student learning structure. And definitely, I would recommend Gorilla Glue is not the way to go. Find whatever this cement they're talking about is, which I get the strange feeling is not actual cement. All right, as you can see, we've gotten a lot further along here now. The skeletal system's almost entirely ready. What is, however, different here is I haven't gotten the organs in yet. I'm waiting on paint to get those nice and prepped and make it look good. I want this to be something that can last for a while. Speaking of lasting, Gorilla Glue wasn't doing the job, so we moved over to a hot glue gun here. So there are a few little price points in here to actually make this whole thing work the way the box advertises. It really does, however, enhance the learning of just how complicated the human body is with all these little tiny pieces in here. It's not the priciest thing out there on the market, that's for sure. It's only $30 for the one, and you would really only need one for the class, as well as, you know, the price for hot glue and paint and brushes. So it adds up a little bit, but not as expensive as a MacBook. but it's not easy to use. This is a puzzle to put together. There's little pins that go into some of the legs to hold them together that I'm considering just hot gluing because some of the pins keep breaking. There's a lot of small pieces. And you have to, there's the safety precautions. The hot glue is not going to be something you want to leave, especially with little kids. If you're doing little kids, you don't want to maybe even use some of these small pieces. They are choking hazards, depending on the age group you're with. I would definitely do this mainly with high schoolers. There are some possible issues with this set. Of course, it could break, you know, it's very fragile. Some of the pieces here are already falling out, as you can see by the foot dangling out of its spot. It is very non-disassemblable. Once you got all the pieces in there, they're staying in there. You pretty much have to glue them in, or else this whole thing is just too fragile. Uh, so it's not exactly something you can pull apart, which is something you can also say about the normal human body. So maybe that's a good thing. Uh, and there's no paint or glue included, which was kind of upsetting to me. But overall, I would say it's a great resource to have kids get interested in anatomy, medicine, or biology, even if there is some misleading advertising. As you can see here, we got all the organs and stuff painted. Not the case.